Greetings, Exiles. Slinky here with what is likely going to be my last update for the Wintertide brand builds for this league specifically. With that being said, I mean, I do think you can scale beyond this point with the build with some form of probably stat stacking or maybe core resistance stacking. But there's other things in the league I want to try out with like the new Trathis gems, and I just kind of want to do something a little bit different. I do think the current iteration of the build is very strong, and you can use it to farm really easily. Sorry, let me put this on. Recording. Sorry, no trades. Um, Alright, but yeah, so I do think that you can scale beyond this point, and the build can get stronger. I just want to invest in some other projects and kind of figure some stuff out. What I want to do for like a second build. That being said, I will eventually come back to Golem, to Wintertide brand. I want to do like SSF runs later on to kind of help flesh out the build for SSF players. And then I also want to, just try scaling it more in the future whenever I have a little bit more downtime. So, with that being said, if you have questions about the build, even if you scale beyond the point that I am, always feel free to come and like leave a comment below on here and Reddit or visit one of my streams, and I'm always happy to help people figure stuff out and try to troubleshoot if they have any issues with the build, or maybe they just have a question like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? I'm always happy to help, like give my advice on things. That being said, I wanted to showcase a map. We just did, oops, I didn't click that. We just did that boss. We're going to play this map right here. We're in Grave Chalk Prison right now, so this will be like the map showcase for Grave Chalk Prison because we want the divination card. Maybe we'll find it this year. That being said, always put your flask on this version of the build. And also, I don't want to full clear the map, but like you can kind of see, this is only Wintertide so far. This is no, I'm not casting anything else just besides Frostpoint. But I'm not casting like my Frostbomb, or sorry, Frostbite. I'm also not pressing Vol Cold Snap. Like I said, I will press it to showcase it in a second, but look how big the Vol Cold Snap is. See, it's huge. You walk through enemies, he just kills them. We'll kill this guy right here. We're just gonna take the purse. I will curse them, and I will Vol Cold Snap them. Or not Vol Cold Snap, where'd he go? Get over here. Oh, he died just over here randomly by himself. Alright, so it just shows him dying. If I find a tanky rare, and this guy's a little bit tanky-ish, so I'll curse him and boom, now he's gone. So if you ever find someone's tanky, like they'll just melt pretty much like butter. Like I'm not gonna full clear because I don't want this to be like a 5-minute showcase. I'm just kind of roughly showcasing how things are looking. We'll go fight the boss. I'm not gonna clear this later because I think it's a big prison right now. We're also going beyond on this Atlas, so here's the boss. Curse, full snap, Vol Full Snap, and he melts. But yeah, that's pretty much how the build looks. Actually, we probably won't full clear this later because I want to showcase doing another. Sorry, went lost. I'll showcase doing another one of these. Let me say this boss is not the easiest for golem builds. If you play golem builds, you'll understand that the ball phase is a nightmare because the balls explode in an AoE, and your golems will essentially cause you to die a lot. So hopefully it goes well. Make sure your flask on as usual. Curse. Damage isn't super high at the moment, but we doing what we doing. I say, still pretty steady. I'm able to kind of walk around and just kind of do circles. Just off all cold snap is, then it goes down a good bit more after that. I actually can't see my brands at the top because his bar is covering it. Oh, incineration! I need to move. We shouldn't tank that. I don't know if we can, but we shouldn't. But yeah, this is pretty much the regular 83 Pinnacle Exarch. Alright, ball face. This I might die here, but this is not because the build's bad. It's because golems are not friendly with things. I see they're causing explosions everywhere. The golems are causing a nightmare of situations to happen. So build not bad, golem bad at all phases, and now I'm dead. Yeah. Like I said, I get panicked. Don't panic, and you're fine. But we go back to the guy. You're standing on little floor degens, which is not what you want to do. Perfect. Now we're back up to tankiness. But yeah, okay, it's not that bad. I did die. I'm not gonna edit that out. That's gonna stay. Ball phase is, like I said, is a nightmare for you because your golems and your mercenary kind of make it where it's worse. but I can showcase a little bit of the damage and stuff like that, so I'll leave it in the way it is. And I already have apparently these boots, so we'll just figure that out later. Alright, let's talk about the build itself. So, a couple of notes to call out that are really important before we get into like my specific build. This version is a low-life version, so you have to find a way to solve chaos damage bypassing energy shield, because by default, chaos damage does bypass energy shield, and when you're at 94 or even lower life, a tickle of chaos damage will kill you. The way I solved it was with the Quartz Gang Elixir and the Balbala Jewel, which we can talk about when I talk about my iteration of the build. You can also go with like Shav's unique armor. It has like the modifier where chaos damage can't bypass energy shield. There's probably some other ways, but those are the two main ones. If you're an SSF, you can farm Shavs. I want to say they have like some diff card drops that make it where you can like get a random Shavs item. And I think there's one that actually gives like actual Shavs. But might be like Gravicious farm for that one. But yeah, before this version of the build, the low-life version, before low-life golems, I was just regular low-life, and that's how I ended up actually doing T17s. But before that part, I was just CI. And CI is how I pretty much did everything before T17s. And I probably could have done T17s if I wanted to invest a little bit more into it as well. I just got a little bit lazy and I wanted the more damage from low-life. So essentially CI is just a better defensive measure, and it's easier to get into. Whereas low-life is just a larger damage multiplier, because low-life allows you essentially to reserve your life and your mana with auras, so I have 7 auras instead of like 3 or 4. And then CI, it also lets you take Pain Attunement, which is this right here, which gives you more spell damage. And then CI essentially just allows you to obviously be chaos immune, so you don't have to worry about chaos resistance at all, and you don't need to do like weird flash stuff like this if you don't want to, kind of stuff. So it's just different iterations. I will attach the 3 transitions I did. So I'll attach my CI build where it was. I think it was in my last video I had CI build, but I'll attach that same POB. I'll attach my next iteration, which is low life without golems, and then I'll attach my low life with golems, which is my current one, in the description below POB. So anyway, you can kind of like see which one you want to do. SSF, like I said, it might be a little bit different because this one uses a lot of uniques versus like the regular low life, which doesn't use a lot of uniques but still has problems to solve, versus CI, which is like you definitely don't need uniques to do it. Alright. I think that's it for like the different iterations between those things. I want to talk now specifically about my specific build. We will go into POB in a little bit to kind of discuss in more details about stuff, but I kind of just want to reference a couple of quick points. So for this iteration of the build, which is low life golems, you'll need some specific items. One, you're going to want this helmet, the Dark Monarch. I ended up getting a perfect one. As far as like the maximum energy shield roll, I overpaid for it. It was like I paid for like 6 divs when I could have bought like a non-perfect rolled energy shield one for like 3.5 or 3 divs. So I overpaid for it because I had the money, and I was like, why not? But you can obviously just use a lesser one, get a little less energy shield, and be fine. The chaos roll, res roll doesn't matter as much because we get a lot of chaos resistance from our golem as well as other pieces of the gear. So as long as you have golems are doubled, you're good. That's all you really have to worry about on this thing. You also want to have the Prism Guardian. So this will allow you to essentially reserve auras on your life. This, along with this Reservation Mastery, which gives you life reservation efficiency, allows you to reserve 3 50% auras. So I got Malevolence, Grace, and Zealotry. All 50% reservations, and they're all on my life, so you need that to kind of do it. If you don't have Prism Guardian, or like you're an SSF and you want to still do this, you likely have to use Arrogance support or some other way to reserve your life. But the issue with Arrogance support is that Arrogance support, instead of like this one is a cost efficiency increase kind of thing, I want to say Arrogance support is a multiplier, so you would have to, like, you won't be able to resolve as many auras. You can only probably do maybe 2 auras. You might have to like mess around and see which ones work for you. But that is an option for people who are SSF, and if you don't get Prism Guardian, you can try doing just Arrogance support with less auras and see if it works out for you. But this is important for people who are in trade. Like I said, it's just a very good, strong shield. You can always corrupt it later for like a better implicits and that kind of stuff. But don't worry about that too much early. As far as other items that I want to call out, let's talk about the flask setup. Because if you're low life, you need to solve not taking chaos damage through your energy shield. So this right here, this flask allows us, as you run the lines, chaos damage taken does not bypass energy shield during effect. You want 100% uptime on this. The way that I did it, there's a couple different ways to solve that, but the way I did it is I wanted 30% flask duration on the belt I got 33, but 30% thing is what the minimum I needed. That on top of doing the brutal restraint Balbala will allow you to get the Trader Keystone, which is why I don't have 2 flasks, because it gives me additional flash charges whenever I have less flasks. And then if you want my specific one, the 5051 is the Balbala. Here it says devoted service 5051. That'll allow you to get 3 charges or charges gained. So like 10% charge gained here, 10% flash charge gained here, and 10% flash charge gained here. Essentially, you need 40% total. So my last 10% comes from a cold dot cluster that has proof of potency on it. So as long as you get 10% total and everything else works out the way exact math, you're good. So for instance, if you only got 2 flash charges gained here instead of 3, you can get another medium cluster with proof of potency on it. You'd obviously have to figure out some other stuff as far as like getting additional like points, but like I said, you can figure it out if you need to, just in case these spike up in price or anything like that. But so you need 40% flash charges gained. You need a belt with 30% flash duration or more, and then you need 3 flasks only. And you want to have a reused end. These flasks you want to have reduced charges per use, and then whatever else you want on it, and then obviously 20 quality on all of them. So that's how I maintain it. If you don't do all that stuff, you can look in POB to kind of look at uptime. I'll try to remember to review that when we go in POB. But you can go down to just 2 flasks or even 1 flask if you want to just not even worry about it even more. That'll like lessen the effect of like how much other stuff you need on top of it. The other things that we need while we're looking at the passive tree, we use 3 of these jewels. So this is the Primordial Eminence jewel. There's 3 of them. The only thing modifiers that are unique that like change are the golem attack speed and cast speed and the armor. Those aren't as important. I mean, if you get better ones, great. But all you care about is the buff effect, that doesn't change, and the fact that you have the jewel itself, because you need 3 of them for. There's my 3. Because you need 3 of them for your Anima Stone. That'll allow you to have +1 maximum golems if you have 3 primordial items. So that's why I have as many golems as I have. That being said, don't look at the damage penetrates thing. It just happened to be cheaper than a non-corrupted one. Wintertide does not penetrate, because to penetrate stuff you need to apply a hit. So technically this will only apply to like Cold Snap or like Frostblink, but it won't apply to your Wintertide. So the damage penetrate thing is not important. I just got it because it was cheaper than buying a non-corrupted one at the time. Besides those 4 unique ones, you also want as many clusters as you can get. I went with 2. Some people who go Golemasters go for 3. They go all the way down here, grab a cluster here, or they go on this side instead and grab a cluster here. I went with 2, but you want it with Primordial Bond and Renewal. Because the other big nodes, they don't really help the build anyway. The only big node you care about is Primordial Bond. And the only reason you want Renewal is because Renewal forces Primordial Bond to be in the front. If you get like Feasting Fiends or something else, Primordial Bond will be in the back, and that'll require you extra points to get to it. Obviously, you can still do it, but this requires less points this way. So try to get this. You can try to do Reforge Harvest on a cluster and like Reforge Life, because these are both technically life nodes, I believe. So that's one way to do it if you want to try to craft it yourself. But I'm not sure how like high of a chance it is. That's just an example. But so we want this on both our clusters. And like I said, you want it to be in the front to make it easy for your sockets. I want to say that's pretty much it for the things that are required. Everything else is just problem solving. Like for instance, I have a small cluster here for suppress spell damage. That way I can get out of this area over here. I still have this anointed. I no longer need a charisma. But did a small cluster for suppress damage because like I said, I didn't roll good on any of my gear. Technically, if I take this chances lucky off, I'm only 5% off along with my flask strip and everything. But yeah, everything else is pretty much problem solving. The stuff I mentioned before is kind of what's required, and everything else is just fun. All right, let's go take us into POB real quick. We're gonna go over here. So in this POB, I decided to do the whole show big numbers thing as best I could. I looked into other people's things and what they suggested for like Wintertide. The way Wintertide's calculated in POB is it only shows 1 brand's damage instead of the 3 brands, and then also the Wintertide debuff. The way Wintertide calculates is you have 3 brands essentially attached to the boss. Each of them apply their own cold dot. Each of them stack, and then you also get 1 stack of the Winter's End, which is the big debuff AoE thing that you see, which is its own dot as well. So you technically get like 250% more damage, which is what you'll see here. You can take this out if you want to, but this is what most people suggest for showing true Wintertide damage. I also have this set to average damage instead of manual stages. If you're at max stages, the number go up. If you're minimum stages, the number go down, obviously. This is average damage. Enemies chilled because we are obviously chilling people, especially if we hit them with their cold snap, which adds additional chill damage. And enemy shocked, which we'll go over. Attach brands attached to enemy applies to, you have a node that was like, oh, it takes more damage depending on how many brands are attached to it. And the active brands doesn't actually change anything. So if you notice, active brands doesn't change anything DPS wise, even though I put it to 3. I was just kind of testing it out. Have frenzy charges, we get them from our cold snap. Have onslaught, we get them from killing on our boots. Like I said, you can untick this stuff if you want to. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, you can also tick on convergence for bosses because when you hit your unique, you will get 30% more damage. So like I can tick this, and obviously the damage goes up. But I'll have to uncheck, but you can check that if you want to as well. Talking about the build, we already went over all this stuff. So I'm not going to necessarily go over that. We went over the items. We'll go over the skill gems probably. But I will say for the items specifically, if you're testing out how your flash charges is, if you have your flask enabled and you have your trader keystone or some other way to generate charges like checked, you can hover over this and you can see in the line flask uptime 100%. So just tinker with that number and like, if you need to like change stuff around, be like, oh, I only got like a 30% flash duration. Is that going to be good enough kind of thing? And you can mess around your POB numbers to make sure it has that. You could always go down to 2 flasks and see if you can do 2 flasks. You can change the belt to like a Tides of Time and see what kind of changes that would make kind of stuff. So tinker around with it to try to figure this out if you want to use this kind of setup. Right, let's look at skills. Wintertide brand. So this is Wintertide brand right here. I don't think this changes anything. It does not. So don't worry about that. I ended up going. You can notice that this is how I'm actually leveled. Like this, obviously level 5 would make this better. Level 5 would make this better. But I currently only have level 3 and level 2 for my current leveling. The other big point of contention that we'll talk about is inspiration. You can technically go for a higher damage support, like if you want to do the arcane surge shenanigans we talked about previously, or elemental focus. Elemental focus adds a crazy amount of damage. This adds a good bit of damage too. But I go with inspiration because it's easy to solve mana problems. Like obviously this is like half the damage of one of the other ones, or maybe even like less than half of the damage of one of the other ones. But it solves like mana cost. So if you notice right now, we have 152 mana gained. We're spending 109 mana. If I take this off, we're now spending 164. Let's say I put it on Elemental Focus. We're now spending 229, and we're only gaining 152. So you run into issues where you're not obviously like having uptime on your casting. So if you do that, just make sure you solve that. I also, to help solve the mana issue on my unset rings, I have the minus mana cost stuff. So you'd have to solve mana if you don't want to use inspiration. You'd rather do a higher damage support. Totally understandable. You can technically take off something else if you want to, like take off efficacy and put like something here. But like I said, it's all just been. This is just what I'm running. Run what you like. Right here as well, I only have a level 2 with no quality on this one. The other ones have quality. But this just helps you get a bigger chill, which enhances your damage to bone chill, so that is nice. Utility, my usual utility stuff. But I have golems and rings. If you don't want to use unset rings, you just have to find the socket somewhere else. So you can, for instance, if you don't want to run automation, don't run automation. If you don't want to run 3 or 2 supports on cold snap, you maybe only want to run bone chill. You don't want to run unbound elements. That solves your problem right there. There's two spots. If you got a curse on hit ring, you don't want to run a curse. You can do that. I will say, as a note, if you plan on using like a profane proxy with like skitterbots, that doesn't work with this helmet. Skitterbots are considered minions, and you cannot activate skitterbots if you have this helmet on, because you can only have summon golems. I originally was planning to do that, and then I was like, why is it not working? And I was like, oh my god, it considers it as minions. Got it, because it does have a minion tag. But yeah, so you can't use profane proxy with skitterbots and use the helmet, just as a heads up. But like I say, if you don't want to do unset rings, you can find a socket somewhere else. Full power to you. I use Stone Golem of Hordes and Stone Garden of Safekeeping. I also use Flame, Stone, Lightning, and Chaos. I do triple stone stuff, which is why on my gear you'll see that I have, for instance, my boots will have buffing stone golems. Go back to this real quick. If you look at my buffs, my stone golem of safeguarding is taking 75% of melee damage from hits. It doesn't help with like ranged attacks or like physical spells, but melee damage from hits. And it doesn't necessarily say like physical melee damage. So if it's a melee damage that's an elemental thing, it also helps take that. And the good thing about the stone golem is it's immune to elemental damage. So if it takes any elemental damage from you, that's just pure DR. And you have 2 of them who are taking damage in this build because you have 2 of each golem. These are the golems that I run with. Stone golems are definitely the best one. None of the other trans gems for like lightning or the chaos ones help out this build. Like chaos ones like helps with wither, which if you're poison build, great. I don't remember what lightning cold doesn't help because it's accuracy and crit, or ice golem, whatever. Sorry. The flame one, I'm pretty sure is like a meteor, so it's like, I think it's just damage. So like they don't really help. I went with stone golems for more defenses. It worked out really well. This is your auras from my auras from mana reserve. You can change these up a little bit. For instance, if you don't want a Purity of Ice, you can also put in like Arctic Armor. I like Purity of Ice because it gave me extra cold resistance, which helps out with the whole cold mastery. And obviously, you can run something else besides Purity of Elements, but I like Purity of Elements. It's super cozy. I don't have to worry about elemental ailments. Leave me alone, chat. It's fine. But you can test this. You can change this out. This is my mana reservation ones, and then in my shield, these are the ones that I have for my life. Obviously, if you're doing the armor based, you probably would go determination instead of grace. But I picked up zealotry, even though the only line that matters for us because we don't have consecrated ground. So the only thing that matters is the more spell damage. If you untick it, you lose a good bit of damage. If you tick it, you get a good bit of damage. So pretty worth it for me. And obviously these aren't max leveled either for some of my newer auras. As you see, like some are only level 19. So mess things up a little bit there. But that is pretty much it. We went over, I believe, how to look at this stuff as far as like the uptime. You can see all my stuff's 100% uptime. Talked about all the unique items you need. We talked about the different sockets and stuff. 100% spell suppressed. Pretty good defenses. My EHP is pretty decent. This is pretty good. Like I said, if you want to change, if you don't want to do inflation numbers, you can take those things off and it's fine. Because I play by how it feels, not necessarily the numbers, but I know people are like, I want to see number get bigger. And obviously, this isn't the biggest number in the world. Like, you can get Volt and Fisher of Snake and be like, I'm doing 35 million DPS. But for me, this helps you clear. I was able to clear my Atlas, progress it, get all my Watchstones, do pretty much every Maven invite, except I got to do still the Hidden and the Fear today, but I will get done today. And then also clear T17s. So, like, it worked out for me. Like I said, most of the stuff is just troubleshooting your own build. If, for instance, you get a better roll, like I have no good roll of suppressed damage on here, I had to craft it. But if you get like a 20% roll, you could probably not craft it on here. You can also probably maybe not anoint. You could do like a different anoint. There's a lot of different things you can move in parts for it. So just keep that in mind when you're playing it. If you have advice and you don't know where to progress your build next, like what items you should buy next, or like, I'm dying a lot. Feel free to leave me a comment. Or if you stop by one of my streams, I'll usually accept your POBs, and I'll kind of like take a moment to walk through it and kind of give you some advice on like what I would do, or like if you're in trading, like, hey, this is the currency, like how much currency do you have, and like we can talk about things that you could try to buy. If you're at SSF, I don't play SSF a lot, but I am interested in the realm of SSF, so I will try to help give ideas based on like kind of a more limited non-trade space. So that's it for this build. As for what's for me next, I don't know. I currently have a document right here where I have a bunch of like random build ideas. I was like, hey, chat, give me ideas for second builds. I was like, tell me a gym that you're interested in. Show me like an item you're interested in. And then I'll kind of like start homebrewing and stuff and seeing which one I like to go as far as second build. I can't guarantee the next build is going to be great. Like it's going to be untested. I don't want to do something like, hey, here's my version of RF, or here's my version of Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. I want to do something that's a little bit new to me that has untested ground, so I can like really mess around with stuff and kind of figure things out. So if you have ideas for something you would like to see, please leave a comment or stop by the stream and let me know. Because while I'm not going to necessarily take all these ideas and like build them, I will probably theorycraft a bunch of them and see like what kind of things I might pull, and like we'll narrow it down over time until I come down to a build. Hopefully sometime this week. Whenever I decide on what that build is, I will release a video on it. But once again, can't guarantee that it's going to be great, but it'll be fun and I'll be doing it. So I do want to take this time. I usually do this at the end of my streams, but I don't think I've done it for YouTube video yet. I want to take this time to say like thank you for everyone who's like subscribed, who's followed over the course of the last couple of weeks since I've started streaming and posting videos. All the positive feedback, all the comments, all the interaction. I really appreciate all of you for every little bit that you do. I hope that we continue to build this community, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I'll be streaming later today, or most days I stream for like 10 hours, so feel free to stop by, or if you see me in the comments on like Reddit or something like that, feel free to say hello and ask for advice. That'll be it for me today, chat. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you. I was gonna say, I'm gonna say see you in the rift. I'll see you in Rayclast. Bye.